Sup nerds, I'm Tom with Neverboard Gaming. I'm going to show you how to play Barker's Row by Overworld Games. This is a piece of the game right here. There's more down here. So here I have everything set up for sort of an imaginary two-player game. We're going to have the blue player and the red player. So of course we get the grandstand for the blue player and the grandstand for the red player. We also set up the strongman tower and put the blue and red players' markers at 4 here on the bottom. Now it is important to note that obviously I'm working with prototype materials. The real version of the game, the strongman tower, isn't going to look like it was made in Microsoft Paint. We also deal out 5 attractions to each player. We put the attraction deck nearby. We have all of the Rube meeples nearby. And then we set up Barker's Row. So we take the Barker deck and we deal out 3 cards face down. This will be Barker's Row right here. And then we have the midway where we flip cards out. And that's going to be this area right here. Now it is also important to note that the back of the cards, there's 4 different suits. There are oddities, beasts, freaks, and horrors. Oh, well, look, they're all right there. Now the back of the cards shows you the suit. So it is kind of important while you're playing to not accidentally knock something over, because then you can see what's next, and that's what we call cheating. After you set all that up, each player is going to take their 5 attractions that they were dealt. They're going to look at their hands secretly and pick 3 of those attractions to keep. Now, generally, as a rule of thumb, it's kind of a good tip to try and pick ones that are different colors. If you take ones that are all the same colors, you're generally making the game a little bit harder for you, and we'll explain that later on. Now that each player has picked their 3 starting attractions and they shuffled their discards back into the attraction deck, I'll go ahead and tell you how you pick first player. In the rulebook, first player is determined by the person who has recently done the most astonishing act, and you can do that, or you can pick it another way. I really don't care. Oh, Tom, you're so funny. And you're me. Starting with the first player and going clockwise, the only required action you have on your turn is to pick a card from Barker's Row, flip it face up into the midway, and then immediately replace it. As stated earlier, the different suits are oddities, freaks, beasts, and horrors, but they also have different values. This is a 1, we've got a 2 here, and a 3. That's as high as they go. There are also wild cards that count as any of the 4 suits, and they come in either the value of 1, or in this case here, a 1+. Now what a 1+ means is whenever you flip up a 1+ wild, you can immediately, first of all, you replace that card in Barker's Row, but then you get to pick another card from Barker's Row and add it to the midway as well. Now also, the way that Barker's Row is right now is a little bit special. If there's ever 3 of the exact same suit in Barker's Row, and it's your turn and you haven't done your 1 mandatory pick up a card and add it to the midway yet, what you can do is you can wipe that completely, draw 3 more, and choose from those. Now that's not a required action, it just generally helps you out if it increases your options. Now here I've obviously jumped forward in the game a little bit, but I believe it's a good way to show you the other optional actions you can take on your turn. And the first one is to score an attraction. So I've said that these cards and the suits, they have values on them. Now these values actually correspond to your level in the strongman tower. So we all start at 4. And that's saying that if I want to score an attraction, the value of that suit needs to be 4 or higher. Now here's an example. If I wanted to score this Freaks attraction right here that I have in my hand, well, I would need at least 4 value of the Freak suit, including wilds possibly. So like let's say I could take this 3 and this 2, that's 5, that's more than I need. I could take this 3 and this 1 wild, that's 4. Or I could be real nasty, take this 2 and these 2 wilds as sort of a hate drafting to make sure my opponents don't get to utilize those awesome wilds. And you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to score this Lobster Boy attraction. So I'm going to choose this 3 and this 1 for my 4. I'm going to take them and discard them to the face-up discard pile. I then score Lobster Boy from my hand. I put it right here in front of my grandstand. I also move my marker up. The red player moves up in the strongman tower to now 5. So now the next attraction that need be scored needs to be a 5 or more. I then add 2 rubes from the crowd to my grandstand. And then lastly, I'll draw another attraction to replace the one that I just scored. So you'll always have 3 attractions in your hand at any given time. The other optional action that I can use on my turn is to, well, use an attraction. This Lobster Boy attraction that I just scored, since I scored it and I have it face up in my play area, it's now available for me to use its ability. Its text reads, treat all 2 cards on the midway as 4 cards until the end of your turn or until you score an attraction, whichever occurs first. So if I want to use this attraction, basically I trigger it once, and then it gets retired. Now I like to put them behind my grandstand to really kind of get them out of the way. So now I get to treat these 2s right here as if they are 4s. So if I were to treat this 2 as a 4, I would then have, well, 5 in the oddities suit, right? So since I have an oddities attraction in my hand, I can go ahead and score that, put it in front here. I'll take this, what is now 5, discard that. I move up the strong tower again. I take 2 more rubes from the crowd, add those to my grandstand, and then again, draw 1 more attraction. And as you see, there's no real limit to the amount of times I can do this. It's really just dependent on what's out there and where I am on the strongman tower. So unless I play some more wacky stuff with what's there, I can't score a 6 right now. The only other action you do on your turn is dismiss an attraction. Now let's say you're looking at your hand of attractions and it's just dumb. You don't like it, a lot of them are the same suit. What you can do is you can raise yourself on the strongman tower by 1 in order to draw 2 more attractions, and then of those 5, pick 2 to discard. Now it is important to know, if you're already at 10, you cannot take this action because you can't suffer the penalty of going up 1 more. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. You have the 1 mandatory action on your turn of flipping up a card from Barker's Row, putting it into the midway face up. You can score an attraction or use an attraction as many times as you would like or that you're able to. And you can also dismiss attractions from your hand as many times as you would like or as many times as you are able to based on your position in the strongman tower. Once you've done all that you want to do on your turn, play then passes clockwise to your opponent. First person to fill up their grandstand with 12 or more Rube Meeples wins the game immediately. And now the only rule that I didn't include in this video is, it does actually say in the rulebook, when you flip up a card from Barker's Row and put it in the midway, see how at the bottom here it says, spectacular. You're supposed to announce, spectacular! If you don't do that, I'm okay with that. And that's how you play Barker's Row. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and put those in the comments down below. I'll make sure Aaron answers those for you. Thank you so much for watching, and while you're here, hey, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never be bored. Bye!